Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the week of September 28th through October 4th. And the good thing about this week, no eclipse. Yay! How great is that? The not as good thing is we have a major T-square happening, and that is some tense kind of energy. Let's talk about it. Okay, so all week long, just straight out of the gate and through the whole week, we've got this T-square. That's a triangle formed by two squares. We know those are tense energy and an opposition. And well, that's an opposition, right? So that's what we got going on. We've got Mercury in Libra squaring Jupiter in Cancer. Then that Jupiter in Cancer is going to square Chiron in Aries. The opposition is between Mercury and Aries. So you really want to look at your chart and find Libra, Cancer, and Aries. Those are the houses that are going to be impacted most. So to really make sense of this information, it's best to have those house topics in mind while we're talking about it, okay? Now, what I'm not talking about this week, but I want to give you just a little bit of a heads up, is on October 2nd, we've got Venus meeting up with the South Node at 16 degrees Virgo. South Node is about letting go. It's about the past, what used to be, or what we should put in the past. All right. So what is this energy going to bring up? Breakups. Yep. You're going to break up with something. No, that's not the only thing it means, but that's a pretty main signification. The other thing it could bring about is exes. Exes. Again, where's Virgo in your chart? Is this relatives you haven't seen in a long time, a boss that you used to work for? For a lot of us, it's going to be ex-lovers, but it can also be ex-friends or whatever. The other thing that it can be is old addictions. Venus rules indulgence and to some extent, and definitely she rules things like sugar cravings. All right. So the good news is if this is hitting in your sixth house, which is physical health, you may be breaking up with a sugar craving. All right. So it's either going to bring up things from the past or expect to be doing some breaking up because the South Node in Venus, I'm telling you, that's what I'm expecting. Anyway, as I said, this is not the thing I'm talking about, this thing that I just went on about for a really long time. I'm talking about the T-squares, so let's get into that. So I know everybody who listens to me or who studies astrology, we all know that Jupiter is the greater benefic. And you know how I always say, like, yeah, he's almost always really good. Almost. Yeah, in a tense aspect or a bad placement, I really don't love Jupiter all that much. What he does is make things big. He expands things, right? So I do medical astrology. There are a lot of things that can be going on in your body that you don't want made bigger, right? Like think your weight, think tumors. There are just a lot of things we don't want to make bigger. So in these tense aspects that we're getting this week, let's not think of him as like the blessings bringer. Let's think of him as the god of making everything big. So let's talk first about the square he's making to Mercury. What's Mercury? Our mind, our communication. Primarily, that's what we're talking about this week. So expect grandiose thoughts. And I will tell you, as we're leading into this, I'm already starting to see this with a lot of my clients. who have these gigantic ideas for what they want to do in some area of their life. Gigantic ideas. And they're not necessarily bad, but when we probe them in conversation, and it'll be like, okay, kind of, how are you going to do that? Or what's the first step? I get crickets, like crickets, because they're big, they're too big almost, right? So Jupiter can do that, just make us unrealistically big. I'm going to go out and save the world tomorrow. And the problem is, we're going to believe it. These are our ideas, and they're going to get all gigantic and out of control, and we're going to be all gung ho for them and all of that. And yeah, they're too big. Right? We're biting off more than we can chew. And the problem with that is that always brings a kind of letdown or disappointment after. So, yeah, that. Now, the other thing, the communication piece. Yeah, we might just be popping off to some people this week. So, getting way too forceful in what we've got to say, way too adamant about things, just getting in people's faces, kind of. And it may be because we're trying to communicate this grandiose idea and we're just gonna like, no, it will work, you must do it, whatever. Okay, so just think about those mercurial topics. And I think this week we're mostly talking about our ideas and our communication. So what do? Try to take a minute before just yelling some idea for the 82nd time into somebody's face, right? Maybe take a minute. The problem is with Jupiter and Mercury. Mercury likes to be active, right? He's very active. And with Jupiter involved, the chances that we're gonna, like decide to sit it out, take a minute, give it a second, yeah, the chances aren't great. So just expect that you're going to be doing some damage control after, and that we might go through some disappointments because we have these brilliant, giant, amazing ideas that we have to tone down or let go of or whatever. So that's one leg of the triangle. Then we've got Jupiter connecting up with Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron almost always connects to early childhood trauma, but it can be trauma in general, past hurts, just those wounds that we carry with us. So Chiron is in Aries. Aries is the me sign, my individuality, my ability to defend myself. But in this case, I think if we all think back to whatever kind of emotional or other wounds that we carry that have to do with us being silenced or being told that we're not enough, or times when we were so overpowered one way or another that we weren't able to defend ourselves, and so it kind of injured our sense that we are strong enough to stand up for ourselves and be our own protectors. Think of those kinds of issues and what kinds of trauma you may be carrying around those issues of individuality. Even things like being shamed for who you are because you don't fit into all the molds correctly. Those kind of wounds might be feeling really big this week. All right, so not only may these old wounds be coming up, but in that square to Jupiter, they're going to feel big. And I'm not saying they're not big. Please do not hear that in what I'm saying, because I don't want to minimize in any way anybody's trauma. But there is a way that we can get so hyper focused on them or whatever that they become bigger. So that kind of thing could be coming up for this week. And that one is the one more than the other, more than these grandiose ideas that we might have to tone down or whatever. This one with Chiron, I really, really don't like. I don't like it at all. So, what I want to say to everybody, take care of yourself. This sense that you cannot be your own defender, It may be true to some extent. That may have gotten broken in you somewhere along the way. But if at all possible, defy that. And if that's not where your trauma is, if that's not how it shows up, absolutely be your own defender. And by that, I mean, take care of yourself. If this stuff is coming up big for you, who do you go to? Do you have a therapist, a spiritual leader, a mentor, a life coach, a best buddy? Who do you have? Your mom? Who do you have that you can go to and lean on? Do that thing. Or are you one of those people? And I know people like this. In fact, my daughter is kind of one of these people who really, when things hurt bad, they just need some alone time. And in Aries, that would make a lot of sense, right? Aries likes alone. So if you need some time alone where everybody's out of your face, out of your space, take it, give it to yourself, and reach out for help if you need it. Go to the people that you can lean on. Because Jupiter, trauma is what it is. It's not like it's not bad enough. And then Jupiter comes into it and it just makes it look bigger or seem bigger. So be aware of that. If you can talk yourself down, maybe starting even now, just prepping, like, you know what? I know what my issues are. I know that next week's energy is really intense and it's going to make things big, magnify things. I can handle this. And here's what I'm going to do. Set your strategies ahead of time so that you don't have to think them up in the moment. So if you're feeling hurt and vulnerable and scared or whatever it is that comes up for you, you won't have to stop and go, what do I do? You're going to already have the plan in place, right? So when you're hearing me, yeah, as soon as you're done listening to the podcast, go do some journaling. If I start feeling vulnerable, I'm going to call my friend and I'm going to take a day off work and I'm going to what? Make a plan, because that way it'll kind of be on autopilot for when you need it. All right. Now, just to add I don't even want to say frosting on the cake. The energy's tough this week. It really is. I do want to just make an aside here. Sorry to digress, but it's tough this week, but not in that explosive, faded kind of stuff that comes with eclipses. So while I'm bringing this up, I know how negative this sounds. I really do. And I don't love the energy. I really don't. But it's not that same kind of thing that we've been going through where it's like, boom, eclipse, life-changing, whatever, and faded, so very heavy and very unavoidable. This is energy we can work with. It's not fun, it's not flowing well, but it's also not like, the gods are throwing lightning bolts at our brains. Okay. So I do want to make that distinction because I don't want it to sound just like, wow, take me back to eclipse time, right? So the last leg of this triangle is the Mercury Chiron opposition. Keep in mind, this is all happening at one time. It's not like one happens, then the other, then the other. This is a triangle. They're all existing at the same time. So Mercury is all expanded by Jupiter, and Chiron is all expanded by Jupiter. And at the same time, we've got a face-off between Mercury, our minds, our thought, our communication, and Chiron. So we may be really in our heads, all right, where we're just like kind of going a little chaos in the brain, if that makes sense, because we're going to be overthinking the trauma that's coming up for us. We're going to be obsessing. We're going to be all over it. Does that make sense? Because our brains are going to be super active anyway. Depending on how you process things, I know a lot of people, like, the last thing they want to do is run around talking to people about their past traumas. But some people, like, me, for example, some people, the way they process difficult things is to talk. They have to talk them out. So you could find that you are running all over the place, telling everybody that you know about the trauma. Like, I need to talk to you. This happened. It's really up for me. Oh my gosh. And then you go to the next person and you're doing it again and the next and the next. I'm not saying don't do that. But on the other hand, I know I have shared personal things with people that I really shouldn't have. Like, do you really want to tell your boss about your trauma, your colleague, your dentist? I don't know. We probably, once we get out of this extreme energy this week, we're probably not going to love it that we went all over the world telling the grocery store clerk about what happened to us when we were 7 and we were bullied on the playground. It just can feel bad for us afterwards. So again, I would say prep for this coming week. If my old stuff comes up, who am I going to talk to? Am I only going to talk to my therapist about it? That's safe and contained. Do I have a spiritual advisor? Is my best friend my shoulder that I go to? Or maybe start a journal or have a special place waiting in your journal where you can like just throw it all into the page, right? Just kind of like vomit on the page and get it out there. Planning ahead for this coming week and sort of picking your tools and strategies, I think is going to be really, really helpful. Now, I don't want to leave you on like, boy, life sucks, huh? As soon as Mercury moves out of this opposition, as soon as this triangle gets broken apart, we're going to be in much, much better shape. So on October 6th, Mercury is not only going to be out of the T square, but he's going to cross over into Scorpio. Scorpio is deep emotions, right? Our mind is going to now have the time to kind of deep dive what we went through, kind of sort it all out, think about it without Jupiter blowing stuff up, without Chiron being right there nagging at us, right? We're going to have some time that we can really go deep into ourselves and just sort through it and get some perspective. And when that comes, healing becomes available because Chiron is not a bad guy, right? Chiron is the wounded healer. We're not left with Chiron in the depths of our trauma. We just need to get out of that T square so that we can move into the healing part and actually have it become empowering. I know it's hard to imagine, but at least move into that healing part. And I love it that Mercury is moving into a water sign. Let the healing begin. So this is not for nothing. It's not for nothing. And even the overblown ideas, the Mercury Jupiter bit, it's not necessarily true that that idea that we have that we're trying to communicate loudly and forcefully, it's not necessarily true that all of it is bad. It's not that we've just gone wackadoo and, we got to toss the whole thing. It's probable that when we can think a little bit more clearly, come a little bit down to earth, that we're going to be able to find the gems, find what we want to keep from that big grandiose plan that we had, right? So this week is just this week. I really suggest you do a little bit of planning. Believe me when I say what's coming up. Don't forget about those X's and things too. You might want to get ready for them too. But you might want to do a little bit of planning, get your resources sort of lined up just in case some of this stuff happens hard for you. You're kind of ready to go and just hold on because the healing and rational thinking and intuitive awareness, all of that's coming really soon. So I wish I just had happiness and flowers and sugar and sunshine to share with you this week. Not quite yet, but it's not all bad either, right? It will lead to healing. It will lead to better days. So That's what I've got. I didn't thank you at the beginning. Thank you so much for being here. You guys know I'm just always so grateful, right? I'm not running any specials right now, but my prices are going to go up just a little bit in January. So I am suggesting to everybody get on the calendar because prices are going up just a little bit. So, with all of that said, thank you all. I'm so grateful. You can find me over on Substack, talk to me there. And yeah, until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always. I'm sending you all the best for next week, okay? Bye.